the smoke-filled clouds of the 303, all the way down to the 505. This is the Dro Bro Show with Remo Vinci, Grimx, and Soul Doja. Yeah, the Dro Bro Show. Hold on. What's up, everybody? This is Mr. Vicious, Remo Vinci, and we are back with episode 8 of the Dro Bro Show. And I'm back as usual with my fellow Dro Bros, Soul Doja and Grimx. Say what's up, fellas.
What up, everybody? Packing this weed so we can smoke and get down.
What's up? Change of scenery in the car today.
Yeah, it looks a little different on your side, Grim. I kind of like it. Let's see what happens, huh?
Yep.
Today we got a special episode for y'all, just like all of them are. We got another artist profile for you. And Grim, you want to let them know who our artist of the month is this month?
So to everyone who was following on our social media pages, I do apologize. I've been pretty busy this week, so I haven't really been able to post the winner. I don't know if Remo had on his or Soul Doja, but Marilyn Manson ended up being the winner for this. So something very close to my heart. I know it wasn't the artist I picked for this poll, but definitely an artist that really influenced me in my younger days, in my middle school through high school days, and even in my older days. Someone that Remo and I even got on board with. I mean, rose shaped glasses. Remember that song, Remo?
Yeah, heart-shaped glasses. That's one of my favorites. I like that one a lot.
That's actually why I'm shocked you didn't pick that song. But Remo showed me that song. I didn't even know the album had dropped, and he showed me a couple songs off that album, which got me back into Manson. After that album, which was which one was that one? That one was right before the Killing Strangers one.
What?
I'm
The
not
heart
too
shape.
sure, but I'd have to look it up for you. But actually, my Manson fandom stems from Doja. I wasn't really a Manson guy at all. I used to actually go over Doja's crib, and I would go through his computer and his whole list of different tracks that he had. And I would just find whatever sounded good, whatever was bumping. And I would burn a little mix disc, for anybody that had a burner back in the day, you used to burn your CDs of a bunch of different mixes and shit. These kids don't know nothing about it. But
those were the shit, huh?
yeah, those are the good old days. So anyway, I actually went to Doja's crib, went through his stuff. Never really wanted to give Manson the time of day before that, but for whatever reason, there was a couple songs that just from the very beginning kind of grabbed me. So I would make like a little mix. So I couldn't tell you what album those were on because I would actually go through about 2 or 3 different albums of his and just pick out a few songs that kind of jumped out to me, and I would create my own little compilation disc. So I got Doja to thank for my Manson fandom.
Yeah. So me, I don't know, probably like middle school. But me and my homeboy Jonah, he's passed away now. But we heard "Sweet Dreams," and that just like the guitar, like how he does at the beginning and stuff, that just like intrigued me. And then after that, he dropped the Antichrist Superstar album with "Beautiful People" on it, and I just love that song because like we were like long haired, like skater style, I guess, misfit bunch or whatever, and then here's Manson all freakish and saying, we're beautiful, we're the beautiful people and stuff, and I was just like, yeah, 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 it just like resonated, and then like down the road, I kind of stopped listening to him for a little bit, but then I met this girl, the Gypsy, and and she was all into Manson, and it kind of relit the fire under the thing with the and that's when the Eat Me Drink Me came out with the Heart Shaped Glasses song, Evidence, Put Holes of Happiness, Vampire, like it's that album was just a really good album, Yeah, and I just been a fan of him forever. He's, I don't know, his new music's a little kind of mellow compared to the old Manson, you know. But I mean, he's still doing his thing.
So for me, my favorite album of his was always Mechanical Animals. I mean, I grew up on Manson from the first album, Portrait of an American Family, which was supposed to have something to do with the Manson family, but the record label had issue with it. They didn't want anything to come out about Charles Manson because they already had issues with Red Hot Chili Peppers releasing a song to do with Charles Manson. Um, it's because Marilyn Manson first came out. For those of you who don't know, his name is Brian Werner, and I believe his name was Brian Walsh Werner. He chose the name Marilyn Manson because these were two iconic figures of the 60s that influenced him a great deal, that he felt were the most popular and controversial figures of the. So he basically combined their names. And when the group came out, they were Marilyn Manson and the Spooky Kids. And so they're actually the first band signed under Trent Reznor's um, music label, Interscope, or Nothing. So Interscope's who signed him initially and didn't want anything to do with the Charles Manson thing. So he ended up changing the name to Portrait of an American Family, which they found acceptable. And they put that album out. Now, it took over a year before the album hit. And what really pushed it is that he came out with an interview from a Brian Werner. And Brian Werner, he interviewed Marilyn Manson, which he's one and the same, but no one knew that at the time. Then he also wrote an autobiography and put it out there. And by doing that, it generated as if he was a star. And he said he did that on purpose so that way he could create this aura around it before he introduced himself. And so, again, like I said, it took a year before it hit off. The second album came out, Smells Like Children, and the label wanted him to promote I Put a Spell on You. That's what they wanted the single to release as. But the single he released was his cover of Sweet Dreams by the Eurythmics, and he became an overnight sensation. Um,
I really like that one a lot. That's one of my favorite ones.
he later on signed with Trent Reznor, as I said. And for those of you who don't know, we were actually talking about our next musical polls, and I think it's kind of ironic. I ended up picking him, and it probably was because of the research on this, because he's actually my favorite artist of all time. But so I do like Nine Inch Nails. These two came together. They had a great relationship in the beginning, but it was also said that a lot of their instruments and stuff got destroyed, and while recording the album, it was real aggressive. Trent Reznor was the producer. All these things happened. Their guitarist ended up leaving, and Twiggy Ramirez ended up replacing him, which was a good thing. I mean, he's like the more known guitarist for Marilyn Manson, but he ended up leaving him later on to join with Trent Reznor for 9 Inch. But they talk about one time Trent Reznor comes in, he's like, "That's it. We're not doing drugs no more." And Manson's like, "Well, okay." So he quits doing drugs. And he said they basically said he's like the boring old man now that he quit doing drugs. And he said those two had issues trying to quit drugs, so they just kept doing it little by little.
Hmm.
But ended up causing them to have a falling out.
Hey, is that why he did that song, the drug song?
Yeah,
You know what song I'm talking about?
yeah. I
It's
don't
like
like drugs, but the drugs like me. I almost picked that. That's
that
actually my.
song. It's hard to pick, uh, you know, because every artist, but we probably like their whole catalog. You know, it's like each song hits so different. You know, like that drugs one that reminds me of my ecstasy days.
I know when I was going through Manson tracks to pick my two songs, I there was a lot more songs that I forgot about that I actually was digging. You know what I mean? Like I was like, oh shit, I forgot about this one. Oh, I forgot about this one. There was like four or five of those that I was like, damn, they could have easily been one of my picks. You know what I mean? I forgot how really talented the whole band is. It's a really good lineup.
Right. Yeah.
So I guess moving forward, leading up to his other albums, Antichrist Superstar, which broke records and put him on the billboards. Um, he had met Anton Zander LaVey at the time, the father of modern day Satanism. And for those who don't know, the Temple of Satan, they don't worship Satan or the devil or any devils. They have a whole different belief system. But either way, I'm not trying to justify their belief system, just putting it out there for the relevance of the story. So he joins the Satanic Temple and he becomes one of the high priests. This only
Made
fueled.
him like an honorary priest, didn't they?
Oh, Manson? Marilyn Manson?
Yeah.
I was watching a documentary on it earlier, and I think they were saying that they had made him an honorary priest.
What? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And that
He,
makes a lot of
Grim,
sense,
I'm
too.
sorry. Go ahead, Grim.
well, it fueled more of the American Christian hatred for Marilyn Manson and him coming to kids' doors and basically influencing teens to be these crazy devil worshippers. A lot of that came to a head with the whole Columbine thing, which he even stated basically killed his career at the time. But going back to Antichrist Superstar, he was saying that he did the thing with the junk removed on it. And, if you look at the back album cover, but they were forced to cover it up with the cardboard cover for the album. And the reason why he did that was because he knew that Christian America wouldn't accept it. And the fact that they refused to let it come out in stores, even a priest, I can't remember what state he was in. I want to say Cleveland, Ohio. He threatened to starve himself and he tied himself to some store or a tree or something, threatened to starve himself until they would say that they weren't going to put the album out, which they said. Again, he had to come with the cover on the album for them to sell it in the stores. But he said that by doing that only proved exactly what he was trying to show, what people think, and he said, because it's very unchristian, okay, and I got to say this because having grown up in the faith and stuff, I do agree 100% with what he said, is that he said for the way that Christian Americans had approached him, uh, he said it was very unchristian, like the way that they treated him and the way that they opposed him rather than try to understand him. And probably the reason what pushed him down other roads and ended up joining the Satanic Church more for controversy and stuff. I mean, I honestly don't know what his whole belief system is. He does sing about God a lot. I definitely feel that maybe he is anti-God, but you know, that's what tends to happen with the faith. And I don't want to blame it on the faith. It's the people, right? And when people look at things, what people do, well, that's the thing. And funny thing is just last night, and I was just explaining this to my brother Brandon today on my way home from work. I told him that, because we were talking about his son getting angry at a baseball game and how he told his son that he needed to maintain composure. And he said he didn't want to get mad at him because he didn't want to kill out the passion. And I told him, but I feel there's a difference between passion and anger. And I said, because in the instance of the anger, then say it's a baseball game. So it doesn't matter how good you are. If you get angry, you're throwing your helmet, you're cussing, you're kicking things. People look at that. So even if you're the best player on the field and you try to give somebody advice, they're going to turn around and they're going to say, you know what, this person's a piece of crap or they're an a-hole. And then they don't want to listen to you, right? Everything that you say falls on deaf ears because of the way you reacted. And there was a saying, I don't remember who said it. Could be Miyamoto Musashi, Bruce Lee. I know it's an older saying about the true definition of a champion is in how you act when you lose. Okay. And the reason why I bring all of this up is looking in the mirror. Like I can see my physical eyes, and behind that I can see spiritual eyes. And when I'm looking in the mirror, the eyes I see looking back, what I see is an animal. But behind those eyes, I can see a highly intelligent spiritual being. So you're basically like this highly intelligent spiritual being trying to dominate this beast, right? Because that's kind of what we are. So what I'm saying is, for the point, is that humans are going to naturally do things that aren't always going to be the best things. And if you judge belief systems based off of the humans who participate in these belief systems, then you're going to look at things very close-mindedly.
Yeah, I feel where you're coming from, my brother. And like as it relates to Manson, like I also had watched a video. I want to say I got it written down from 1995 on the Phil Donahue show, and they were talking about like moshing and mosh pits and like the just the state of the world at the time was such there was like this shock factor in the air. Like everything was about like Jerry Springer type shock, uh, shock rock or shock TV or whatever you want to call it. Like it was all about like this craziness just to gain attention. You know what I mean? So he started gaining this attention and getting a lot of negative attention because of some of the stuff he was doing. And like you're absolutely right. There were people that were blaming him or judging him for certain things that were happening that he absolutely had no involvement in, you know what I mean? It didn't necessarily condone neither. But um, because of the nature or the aura that it brought across, apparently, it was used as the scapegoat, or he was used as the scapegoat. And I was really empathizing with him when I was seeing some of this, because this dude, just like you were saying, was a very, very smart, intelligent person. Anytime he was questioned about things, he was very well spoken and handled things pretty respectfully. I mean, don't get me wrong, he was still a controversial character, so he would still say some off the wall shit sometimes. But this dude, for everything that I've seen, kind of stayed in his lane pretty well and didn't really show his ass or make an ass of himself. Don't get me wrong, there were times. We all know that there were times. But I was kind of surprised to see how well he handled some of the shit that would be thrown at him, because any other person getting hit with the same type of questions, the same type of accusations, the same type of hate, for lack of a better term, and handle it so well, especially when you're the one being labeled as the hateful person. I think it speaks pretty highly of his actual character. So I agree with a lot of the stuff you said there. How you feel about that, Doja?
Uh, nah, I just thought it was kind of interesting, like how he just. That's one of the reasons why I liked him, because he was not like normal and off the wall. I mean, like weird stuff. But I mean, I watched this one documentary on him, uh, his concert footage, and some of the rumors people were actually true that he does on stage and to himself and everything. And I was kind of like, whoa, what the heck am I watching here, man? And I was kind of weirded out about it, but I like the music, but him as a person, I'm just like I don't know, you know what I mean? Like he does a lot of weird things and he hears stuff, But I as a music artist, I think he's a genius. He does great music, but I don't, who knows what's what anymore these days? Who's who? Or I
So,
think all those Hollywood people are weird.
mhm.
And like for me, I mean, obviously, you guys are a little bit older than me, but we're still pretty much the same generation. Like for me, that's when all of that type of alternative lifestyle kind of stuff started getting brought up as far as my world. You know what I mean? Like around me, I started seeing this kind of stuff like that, and like in the late '90s, mid to late '90s, it was a whole different world. You know what I mean? So like us as kids, we were being exposed to all kinds of craziness. Like to 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 see how far like some of this stuff has gone, to now with our kids and what they're having to see and see as normal is kind of crazy how far things have come. But anyway, you want to get back to Manson there, Graham?
Yeah, so before we keep going into the music, I just want to touch on some things that Soul Doja was bringing up. I mean, you never know how people are. So, given recent circumstances, Marilyn Manson's been in and out of court since the Me Too movement, and it was Evan Rachel Wood, wasn't it? The first one that came out against him, one of his ex-girlfriends, saying that he sexually the A word her and other things. With that, I mean, I don't know how much we could really say without getting pulled on it, but there was things and allegations, let's just say, of how he treated or mistreated and hurt women for sexual pleasure. Um, he also said things that he probably shouldn't have said that hurt him in his case. Like in an interview, he said when he first started, he used to beat a woman with a stick in a cage. And he said that he almost felt like he made her brain dead and he should have taken her out and ended her, basically. And it was a joke he made, but obviously, with everything that came out, that wasn't something used very good against him. And then also talking in another interview where he made mention of the dirty girls room, which is, or the bad girls room. And some of the allegations against him were that he was locking them in a soundproof room, keeping them awake, basically tormenting them for his own pleasure. Um, but since then, one of the people had who had came out against him had said that she was forced by Evan Rachel Wood to have come out and said these things against him. So now there's a whole thing going on, and Manson's actually suing her now for defamation and things of that nature. And since she's pulled down her Instagram and other social media things, which leaves people wondering, was she just making it up? Made all this noise and stuff to ruin someone. And but regardless, I mean, he did say things that make you look at, maybe is some of this true?
Hey, man, he's all Johnny Depp can sue and win. So can I.
This is crazy, and that's crazy you said that because in one of the interviews I was watching, he was talking about how him and Johnny Depp are good homeboys and shit. Anyway,
Yeah.
That's that's what I was saying. It's kind of funny.
I was completely unaware of all of this, Grim. This is all brand new news to me. As you were giving the story, I kind of pulled it up also on the side over here and was reading some of it. And damn,
Oh, you didn't know?
like,
But there's a documentary on. I want to say it was on HBO or Max or something, but that talks about the victims of Manson. It's called something like that. Like and and it basically talks about that how he would keep them in cages and all kinds of weird stuff. I was like,
see,
what?
like we've been talking about Diddy recently, and like obviously we're big wrestling fans, so we're aware of the Vince McMahon stuff that's going on. I mean, this is crazy. This is like along the same lines, and I'm sure most of you have probably seen that surviving R. Kelly documentary. Like,
Hey,
just in the notes that I'm reading here, it talks about how some of the record labels are also being sued and whatnot because they were aware of his antics and what he may or may not have been doing.
Also accused of human trafficking. That's also part of the allegations in his court case. And
Uh,
so they halted all his music, even an episode of Creep Show that he did, the studio didn't put out because of it. There was he was supposed to be in, was it, is the show called American Gods, or
oh
I
yeah,
have
there's
no
American
idea. But
Gods.
he was supposed to be in the second season and they removed all of that given the circumstances with all the stuff that came up. Obviously, with the accusations, any company that supports a person like that is basically condoning those actions. So
yeah,
in that instance, if those allegations are made against you, they basically have to cut all ties if they don't want to be associated with those allegations.
yeah, no doubt. They have to do a lot of PR cleanup and stuff when those kind of situations come up. So that's insane. Wow, I was not aware of any of this. So that's a trip.
Well, and I think that's why Soul Doja, when we first mentioned the name, said, "Can we talk about him since he's basically canceled?" And you had said you didn't want anyone off limits, so that's kind of what he was meaning at the time.
I see. I get it. So
Yeah.
so just to add a little more context to that, um, There are so many people. Like I don't want to have any kind of limitations on who we have eligible for our artist picks of the month. In fact, for all of you listeners, if you do have any suggestions, we take suggestions. So put them in the comments there. But
Below.
But
there's so many people from our past, that were great contributors to musical history or just history in general that have been terrible, terrible people. And but at the same time, like the story can't be told without their contributions. So you have to tell their part along with it. You know what I mean? So I don't want to leave anybody off limits. But man, that is some heavy ass shit. I was unaware of all that.
So,
yeah.
like Soul Doja said, no one knows what people are really doing and what they're really like, you know? And as music goes, he is a musical genius. And interview wise, he's definitely well versed with his words. He's a very intelligent man. But as far as everything else, I mean, without being there, without participating in these acts, no one can really say what's actually going on. You know what I mean? This at this point, it's what she's saying, what he's saying, what the victims are saying. Because even, and I don't think it's just one victim. I think two or three have come out now and said that no, we were forced to say these things, which is why he's able to sue right. And he's
Forced to say things like against him.
yeah, that they were coerced to
I
say these negative things against him. So now his lawsuit is trying to get certain allegations removed from his lawsuit because obviously he's basically admitting to some of, but not all of the allegations.
Yeah, I see. Okay. Wow. Well, dang. All that aside, though, back to him as like an artist and his artistry. In that same documentary that I was seeing, just the way he would talk about it, bro. He was talking about his latest album at the time, and he was already a little older. This had to have been within the last 10 years or so, but he was saying about how basically he would let the music paint its own picture and he would let the listener decide for itself like how it ends and like what it's supposed to be with that album in particular. Now I'm not sure exactly which one it was. I need to go and look back and try to check his discography and peep it out.
What's what's the name of the song?
I don't know. It wasn't a song that he was talking about. He was just saying the last song on the track. You know what? He
Oh,
did say the name of it though. I can't remember what he said. But anyway, he was saying about how, you know, that's the beauty of it is you leave the story up for interpretation, to the listener. And that's a really cool thing. And the way he would talk about it, bro, was just like you could just feel the artistic, you know, energy just flowing all around this dude, and like he was talking about his album as if it were like a movie and how like you want to have different scenes build up to these crescendos and to this big climax and then you know what I'm saying? And like that's how I
that's
see it.
that's
That's how I see it.
yeah.
Like when
That's
when
how
I'm
I see it
constructing
too.
my albums and whatnot, I kind of feel the same way, like I'm trying to paint that whole wider picture. So it was really cool, like just as an artist in general, to hear him talk about it that way because it was like I understood it. Like we could, breathe the same air kind of thing. It was pretty cool. So like, after feeling all that kind of stuff, just not even 2 hours ago and then hearing this shit about him, I'm like, damn, that's a big old downer, bro. Like I wasn't expecting all that shit.
Hey, uh, on that documentary, like he did some like stuff that I was like, whoa, man, like sexual shit, and I was like, and it was on the documentary, like, and I was like, what the fuck, and that's where I kind of like I was kind of like weirded out about him for a little bit, but I always loved his music, But like I said, I was like, that guy. And I mean, you look at some of his videos and stuff too. I mean, it's always been off the wall shit, but it made more sense. It's like, yeah, he has like another, like a alter ego or like there's people develop in that industry.
Like this whole other side to him, a whole nother life.
Yeah,
So
yeah, exactly.
I guess back to the story then. I guess we were leaving off where him and Trent Reznor had a falling out. So he
Hey, is
ends
it
up
true that they were a couple?
no. But he wrote an autobiography about him and Trent Reznor basically again sexually a woman. And Trent Reznor has come out and said, you know, I never liked the guy. That's why I separated from him 25 years ago. I tried to warn you guys about the type of person he was. And he says all of this stuff is manifestations in his head. He made this stuff up. I participated in none of these acts with him. And he's basically saying, you know, he's angry that Manson put that out in his book. Um, but anyway, so Manson went out on his own, did some records, had his relationship with Rose McGowan after he did his cameo in the movie Jawbreaker, teen pop movie. So after that, his music started to reflect what was going on in his life. So he ended up creating Mechanical Animals. And when they had their separation, he came out with Hollywood. Um, Shortly after that, Manson had his mom pass away, and he made the album. I think it's the one right before the one with Vampire on it. They say it was really dark. It was one of his biggest fans, and he was traveling around with his dad on tour and things like that. I mean, I guess I left out the part where him and Trent Reznor came back together for a little bit. He made an appearance in the Star Effers video, and Trent Reznor actually produced a whole song for him after that, and maybe even worked on music on the album, I think is what they were saying in the documentary. But so anyways, after they're falling out and stuff, he's traveling, touring with his dad, who was his biggest fan, living the rock star lifestyle with his son, or the way that he would imagine it, and he ended up passing away, which Manson was able to save his career with the last album he came out with, which was The Pale Emperor. After that, I think that was the album he released after his dad passed. And
So that's the one that I saw this interview on. Like it was as that was the album then, because his dad had just passed.
yeah, so 2 years after that album dropped is when these allegations basically came out. And so it basically stunted shit that he was doing. Right now, he's already announced that he was going to tour with Five Finger Death Punch and another group still with this lawsuit going on. I don't think he's helping promote, he's helping write and produce music. I don't think he's actually going to be performing because of these allegations yet. Nothing clears. I don't think he is going to be performing, maybe doing cameo stuff on stage. But so anyways, I mean, with that being said, I just feel like musically he definitely reached a certain limit. So what this documentary was saying, that a lot of the public was saying the reason why Manson fell off when he did is because Manson was very grotesque. He was very trying to get a reaction for shock value, all of these things. And they said that the news and the world finally caught up to that. And when you're seeing worse stuff on the news and on TV than you were in Manson's music or his videos, then they said that that kind of aura around him was lost. But again, like I said, they basically said that when he came out with that Pale Strangers album, it resurrected his career, showing that he still had it and he could still stand in that type of industry. It brought it back to an industrial feel, just like his older music. But then again, like I said, then the allegations came out while he was starting to climb up again. He was starting to do shows, he's acting more. And when the allegations hit, all of that was like just cut at a screeching halt.
Well, damn. Well, as you come to a screeching halt for a second, let's take a second to give some of our strains some love here. What do you guys think?
I'm about to dab some live diamonds hatch right now. And I just smoked a joint of some Skywalker OG.
Very nice. Grim, I know you're not exactly partaking at the moment, but what did you have?
Honestly, I don't remember the flower I just finished. I don't remember if alien. No, it wasn't alien. So, oh, honey hiker.
Honey hiker.
Hmm.
Okay. And I just got some super
That
lemon
sounds like
haze.
a porno.
I got some super lemon haze. Um, I just got this other flower today from Skunked. My people over at Skunked, hell yeah. Um, shit, I can't remember what the damn weed is now. But this cart is called cereal milk, and it's
Oh,
damn good.
so these are my carts. The Tangine Taffy fry bars. Have you guys tried these yet?
I have not.
There's a Cali product, and they're fucking
Like
bomb.
the PAX things is what it reminds me of.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. It's like that. Are the carts
it's
like
a
that? Like a little square
it's
cart?
it's a disposable 2 gram live diamonds cart,
I see.
but it's a
That's pretty
it's a
cool.
it's a California based company.
Nice. I usually,
Hey,
if I'm getting one of those like disposables, they have multiple like grams in it or whatever. I'll get the warehouse ones. Those like little five. I don't know if you guys have those ones or seen those ones, but it's like a little 5 gram. It looks like a
yeah,
little black. I don't think I
Yeah,
have one on right here.
yeah, I know. Hey, do those work good?
Yeah, bro, I like those a lot. At least as long as you keep it, like at my job, like there's a lot of extreme weather, you know what I mean? So if you have it on you and it's really cold, or you have it on you and it's really hot or some kind of shit, then it kind of fucks up and it starts to take a shit on you. But if you
Oh,
have it just in regular use, it's pretty good.
yeah.
I say
I
no.
don't,
'Cause I get it off of one of my friends, and for me, it's too much. You know what I mean? I've always been more of a flower guy. I only try using the carts and stuff like that when I'm trying to be more discreet out in public and stuff like that because I ain't trying to be too loud, where you're
yeah.
broadcasting your business or you know what I mean? That's why they say it's loud.
I I agree, no doubt, no doubt, absolutely. In fact, I've been trying to get away from the carts. That's why I'm kind of frustrated. I can't remember the name of the flower I just got because these carts, man, they be fucking my chest up and shit, and like killing my lungs sometimes. So the flower's a little easier, a little smoother for me. So trying to get away from these damn things, but I don't smoke flower in the house, so that's why you get in the cart.
Yeah, I'm a flower guy myself, but I like it all. Well, except for edibles be kicking me in my ass. Fuck.
I've
But
never really had a edible that really fucked me up. I guess they keep telling me I'm not taking enough or whatever. So maybe that's the problem. But every time I like anybody that has edibles, they're like, "Here, I got one. You want to try one of these?" And I'll like try one, and I feel bad because they like wasted it on me because nothing happens. You know
So
what I mean? So
there's a lot of different factors. I mean, with edibles, first of all, you got to allow 30 to 45 minutes for it to take effect because it
yeah,
has to digest. And your fat content in your body is what the THC is going to attach to make you more high. And then also, if it's a greasier food, fattier food, it sticks to that and it gets you more ripped. And then again, like with alcohol consumption, when people are drinking, they say, "Oh, well, I'll eat some bread or I'll put some food in my stomach to absorb the alcohol." With edibles, when you ate too much and you try to eat more, it's going to get you higher because, like I said, the THC it attaches to the fat cells. So if you're eating, try to absorb it, you're actually making it worse.
well, now you're making me like even more sad because I'm like, damn, now like nothing has ever happened. So, hopefully my people over at Skunked, who may very well be a very sponsor of ours coming up soon, hopefully they can hook us up with some good shit maybe it's coming up. And speaking of which, happy early 420, y'all. Here in Colorado, that's one of our holidays and shit. So,
Yeah.
why you gotta remind me?
oh, I'm sorry, Doja. We'll put it in the air for you over here too. You know what I'm saying? In fact,
Hey, we
just a
should
little. Go ahead.
uh maybe at the end we should, I don't know how long we've been on. Tell about the 420s down there in Colorado, how they do it, because they do it big over there, especially nowadays. Like I've been to some of the coolest events, 420 weekend. All the celebrities come in. It's a fun time, and it
Hell yeah.
started off. And it,
We,
and then it started off with a few stoners smoking in front of the Capitol. And I mean, look at it now.
we also got 710. So for those of you who don't know, because it is legal here in Colorado, due to billets and the concentrates and all of that, you had 710 labs, right? So all of that stuff's known as 710, the number for it, just like 420 is for the cannabis and the flowers. So 710, they actually do a similar thing as they do on 420 here in Colorado.
I didn't know that. I was unaware of that one. But on the 420 note, and the festivals itself, I mean, your boy got to perform at one of those. I got to participate in one of those, and that was the biggest crowd I was ever in front of. That was amazing. That was 2009, and that was before we had the big boom here and all the stuff like that. That was a couple years later. And now, fuck, the whole damn city damn near shuts down. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Well, for years, for the people that don't know, of the Coloradans and Denver people protesting in front of the Capitol about the marijuana on 420 every month. It was like a protest to legalize it. And, fast forward down the road, it actually eventually legalized and it's turned into a massive festival. And I mean, big time. It's a free concert. Like, and they have big time. Rick Ross was there last year. They've had Little Wayne. They have big names. Uh, real.
Honestly, if we're being honest here, um, I've only been to the 420 event all the times that it was illegal when it was a protest.
Oh,
After
see.
legal, I've never been because I always assumed that, the whole thing at the Capitol, and I guess, yeah, it is a party, but because it was a protest thing, right? And people were sitting around the Capitol smoking and all that stuff. After it became legal, I guess I never felt the need to go down there and participate. You know what I mean? Because for me, the whole
Yeah.
protest part of it is no longer a part of it unless you're talking about federal. But the reality is that there's so many states, the 11 states or whatever, that haven't decriminalized or made it medically legal. I really doubt that those states anytime soon are going to do so.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're still a little ways away from it being like a national, the ban being dropped. So, but we have climbed leaps and bounds and peaks like Pikes Peak around here. You know what I'm saying? So
And we
it's
were the
pretty.
first. The first. When everyone said it would be California, we were the first.
So, um, yeah, that's a pretty cool thing. And to be honest with y'all too, I haven't been to another 420 event, maybe but one time since that performance in '09. So I'm kind of with you, Grim. Like I went to a few before, but I'm not one for crowds like that anymore. Like now it's too big, bro. Now it's too crazy, and I got people I gotta watch all the time. I got a family and shit, and I turn into fucking Tony Jaa protector mode. You know what I mean? Like I'm making sure I'm watching everybody, and I'm like, I'm having to look at all the possible suspects and exits and like any kind of anything because there's been a lot of shit that pops off down there around that time. There's been a couple
Hey.
shootings at a couple different
Hey.
ones.
Hey. So I was just wanting to tell you that to uh, so the shootings was the last one I went to. Me and Swerve went. We rolled like a fucking 2 foot joint, like it was like on our arm, and we're walking around the crowd. Everybody's like, "Oh, what the fuck?" But they want to hit it, and we're standing there, and you heard pop, pop, and we were in a circle. I was with my ex Fawn at the time, and there was Swerve and Dino and his brother, and I hear the claps, and then I look around at us, and none of us were shot, and it was like a delay with the people because everybody's so stoned. Like the shots went off, and like literally like 10 seconds or so went by, and then people started screaming, and it was just a huge horde of people running. It was fun. I was scared to get trampled and shit. It was actually it was a scary situation because I never been in a public shooting like that before. And and as I'm running to the end of the streets away from the park, the cops are running towards the gunshots with big old AR-15s, and I'm like, have my hands up, like, because I'm scared. These guys are coming out with big guns, and I'm trying to run. Say, it was a mess. But after that, I didn't go no more. But that last year was pretty epic because the day before we went to a concert to see Flowbots, which I didn't even know who these guys were, but they're pretty badass. But anyways, we got a one hitter pipe when we walked in the door, and I was like, "Oh, that's a cool little souvenir," And you go around, and there was nine different, maybe 10 different strains to vote. They had the cannabis cup that weekend, so it was all the free weed you could smoke that night, and you had a little chart, and you voted on which weed you liked the best and everything for the cannabis cup. And you could go up and you could hand them a paper, and they roll you a joint. You could load your bowl. We were giving them blunts. Me and Swerve, we were in heaven, dude. He took me. Man, I got so freaking high off my ass. It was great.
So honestly, the last year I went was either year or the year after that at the Cannabis Cup. The winner was the Great White Shark, which I haven't seen.
Damn,
It,
that was a good one too.
yeah,
Yeah.
but back to the Manson thing. Do you guys want to get into the songs?
Oh yeah, we probably should.
That was dope. That was dope. Hold on, Doja. Before we go any further, I just want to say I love that whole story you just told, bro. That was cool. That was cool how you were talking about the fucking your real life situations being almost trampled and shit in the thing, and then how it ended with this cool ass fucking shit. I was like, hell yeah, that's the
Fuck,
best
dude.
story ever.
Hey, I'm learning you gotta be like the comic relief. We don't have happy endings all the time, so I try to at least end it on a happy note.
I love that. I love that. That's great. That's good shit. So go. Well, hold on. Is there any more to the story that you had to add to it, Grim?
No. I mean, basically ended it where we're at now. You know what I mean? I guess we could have talked more about the albums, the music, or whatever. I mean, really
Well,
getting
before
to the
before we get into our song choices and the music and stuff, let's circle back real quick to Columbine, because this video that I watched earlier, this Phil Donahue, it was like obviously around that time. I don't think it had already happened yet. I think that was still yet to come. But for those that are too young, that may be checking us out, for the first time or whatnot, and who may not know. To live through that Columbine situation was crazy, bro. Not just it being here in our own freaking backyard, in our home state, but
But
just the fact that it happened. What's
well,
that?
the area it was for the people don't know. I mean, that was like not the ghetto. That was like kind of like considered upper class white people neighborhood. So that was kind of a shock value because it was like, in the hood, homies always had guns. You know what I mean? Like and like gun like a lot of my homies guns was a part of the thing, but like it was kind of a shock value because it was like this rich white neighborhood, and I remember watching it on the news in the classrooms. It was pretty wild
That's
time.
what I was gonna say. Like that day is kind of like etched in all of our minds. I think everybody as a nation that lived through that kind of knows where they were when they heard about it or when they first started
Yeah.
watching the newscasts. Because I was in school too. I remember coming home from school and it had been like on all day, and it was like nobody left it either. You stayed right there to see what the fuck, and it was some crazy ass shit. So. Um, Graham, do you remember where you were at when that went down?
yeah. So I was gonna say, Antone, our first guest on episode 6. For those of you who don't know, I've known Antone since middle school. So
Episode 5, buddy.
Oh yeah, episode 5. So anyways,
That's Remo's number.
when it happened, I remember I was in the Commons area at Fort Morgan High School, and the Commons is like the lunch area. And I remember me, Antone, Michael Lee, all of us were there, and Remo, and I think Soul Doja knows Michael Lee as well. But so, anyways, we all move up here to Denver when we all graduated from high school, and moving up here, coming from Fort Morgan, it's a smaller hick town, and people, we talked about it. It was like a huge topic. It was, everyone made jokes about it. People talked about it. I mean, it's this whole big thing because it's part of our generation. And moving up here and going to the college, Rocky Mountain College of Art and Design, to me, the most surreal experience was going to school with people who were there and people who got shot in that event and survived. And it was really a humbling moment, I should say, coming from this place where people joked about it, we talked about it, all this stuff, and now you came here and now you don't talk about it because you're around people who were there, people who freaking lived through it, who experienced it, who have PTSD from it. And seeing that was really different for me. You know what I mean? As far as this whole shooting thing goes. But if you guys don't mind, I'd like to touch on something with the shooting because this is also in Bowling for Columbine. For those of you who want to watch a documentary, Manson gives a very, very excellent speech, and his whole, his whole, I guess, because they tried to blame him on it. So he's basically giving what he would have done instead. He's saying everyone's saying this, saying that. Oh, it's this guy's fault. But he said, did anyone ever listen? He said, because my main thing is I would have listened to these kids. But touching on the subject is that Columbine was not the first school shooting, and it wasn't the last. The reason why it became the biggest news in the world, and again, we're touching on conspiracy here, but again, if you want to check out Bowling for Columbine, they document this better. Um, Bill Clinton got the wrong coordinates under his presidency, ordered a strike, a military strike, where we bombed a children's hospital. Um, so yeah, there was a bunch of deaths. And to cover that up and to cover up the mistake of what the US had done in another country and how we had committed this atrocity, they put Columbine, which happened on the same day, all over all the news networks and covered it up.
Hmm. So, does anybody know like the stats? Obviously, we probably not. We don't have any of that pulled up. But what like school shootings were at the time, or anything like that that could kind of prove that that's an actual factor. Like an actual viable variable.
We'll look at it this way, and I can't remember what the comedian's name is. He's freaking awesome. He's an Australian comedian. And you can look it up online about the no guns joke. Uh, he talks about how Australia and how Americans that we're just like, nah, fuck you. I like my guns. I'm gonna keep my guns. And he says that I use it for protection. He's all really. Uh, he said, it's called an assault rifle. When have you ever heard of a protection rifle? And he basically said in Australia, it's in 97 or something. I think he said it was at the harbor, the worst shooting that ever took place in Australia. And this guy, he basically executed, I don't know how many people, 100 or something, shot him or executed him one way or the other. And Australia is basically like, no guns. And he's saying, like, the people were like, all right, okay, sounds fair. But he says that you say that in America and it'll never fly. And I mean, that is basically the truth. Now, I'm not here to promote no guns. Okay. I'm just stating the fact of this joke that this comedian had told. But there were other shootings that had taken place all throughout the country. I mean, I had thought I'd heard there was 2 or 3 other school shootings that had happened in the States around that time too, like within a few years prior to mine.
The guy I work with, this guy Daniel, he was telling me that the first like type of school shooting, or it wasn't a school shooting, but like was a custodian back in, I want to say, the early 1900s that wired a school with dynamite and was getting ready to blow up the kids and stuff with dynamite back in the day. And he had to learn that in his, like, when he was a fireman or something like that. And I was like, what? He's all, it's actually been going on for a while. What I think what's sad about it is like, even when I go up to Denver, and it was kind of one of my motivations to move back away from it, was it's a common thing. There was situations where my daughter was on a school bus and a kid had a gun on there, and they had the school bus surrounded by the SWAT team trying to get the kid off with the gun. You know, like you hear about school shootings all the time now. It's like a common, like, you know, it's kind of
Well,
wild.
I literally live down the street from the Walmart that got shot up off of 92nd and Grant. I mean, yes, like
Oh, that
Doja
was
said.
wild.
I know, and my dad's calling me and he's like, please tell me you're not at Walmart right now. I know you live by it. Please tell me you're not there. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about, dude? And he said there was just a shooting there. So I drove by and I seen all the cop cars, all the people outside and everything. And I was actually just getting off work at the time. But it, unfortunately, I mean, and I have to say unfortunately, because, you know, Joe Rogan once said that he felt that here in Colorado, that we were on a whole different mindset. He felt that Coloradans were at a higher level than most people in the country. And he thought that because in our minds, when you see the beauty of the mountains, he felt that subconsciously it was affecting us in a good way, making us more open-minded, making us a different kind of breed of people. But when you look at all these things that come out of our state, you know, all these shootings that have happened that are in the media, it doesn't make it look like that we are these open-minded, different people that aren't aggressive, you know, these loving, caring people. Instead, it makes us seem like we're crazy.
Hey, we better get back to the songs. What's our time?
But we're coming up on an hour. We're at like 56.
Shit.
But just to kind of touch on that before we wrap it up, you know, that's interesting as fuck, Grim. I really like that, man. I feel like there's got to be something to that, man. I feel like maybe there's something here. I don't know what. I have no idea. Maybe I'm completely off base, but something that does affect our brain chemistry or something that makes it a little bit different. Like how in Seattle, how people there are more prone to depression because of the constant rain and stuff like that. Maybe something here, there's something going on like that, and it affects people in a crazy ass way because it's not just the shootings. I mean, you guys know, like the John Benet Ramsey, like how many like parents killing their children situations have you seen out of here too that are crazy? So anyway, this is probably a whole nother show for a whole nother time. But
But
Hey,
before we move on, I want to touch on how close this stuff is to all of us. I mean, I used to be a mailman out in Aurora, and when the Aurora shooting happened, okay, I had to carry this route. It was Route 56. I don't want to say the station it was out of, okay? The address, I don't know if I should say that either. But let's just say apartment 10 of this particular building is the apartment that James Holmes lived in. And I get this route.
I'm just gonna say, when you brought up Aurora, I'm sorry. When you brought up Aurora, I was like the damn theater shooting. Yeah, go ahead.
So I come into work that morning and the supervisor pulls me aside and he said, look, I gave you Route 56. Just so you know, this is the route where the perpetrator lived on. So he said, what I need you to do is when you get to this address, I need you to bring the mail back to me so that we're going to separate it for the week and we're going to deliver it to the police department. So the day I show up there, the bomb squad's there. So with all that stuff on the TV, I was the one outside delivering that route. And my friend, because of one of the letters they had gotten back, of course, thank God for the post office, right? Because of one of the letters that was received at one of the teachers over there at the school, they were able to find that he was sending bombs to the hospital, to the school, to try to get other people. My friend who was driving the collection route that morning shows up to the hospital. The bomb squad stops him. They ask him for 2 packages in particular, which he hands to them. Now, mind you, this is about 8 o'clock in the morning. at 6 o'clock in the morning. He's been driving around doing this route. So he had them boxes on the truck for almost 2 hours, and the bomb squad takes them from him and detonates them in the parking lot. So, I mean, imagine how that makes you feel as the carrier, and you show up for a delivery and they're like, hey, we need to get these packages off your truck. And it's the bomb squad.
Yeah, that's insane, bro. That's crazy shit. And you know, like speaking of the postal service, that term going postal, bro, is for a reason, you know, and that's crazy because I was talking about this at work the other day, or just yesterday, in fact. Um, I remember my parents were both postal workers, both retired from the post office. And I remember when I was little, there was a situation at one of the big facilities here where they had like an active shooter situation, and I remember being scared for my parents being there and shit, man. So it's
12
crazy, man.
hostages in that situation that Remo's talking about. And funny story, side note for those that don't know, the only reason I worked for the post office is because Remo's mom helped me get the job there.
It's a family thing, my brother. That's what we do.
Hey, real quick, before we move on, what you were saying about that shooting on the at the Walmart, I was working on at the one in over there in Inglewood at the time, but it blew my mind how fast and how much Walmart had to reopen the store. So they were offering overtime and all this shit, all these hours and stuff for workers to volunteer and go over there and put everything back to normal because for every minute, every hour, they were losing so much money with that Walmart being closed and they had no consideration of what happened at the store and everything and people that went there said it was like a real like odd scene like they felt really weird like they said it was just like real off and and I was like they can't pay me enough to do that. I was like people were I said I ain't there's no way I'll volunteer for something like that but it just blew my mind how heartless and they didn't care, you know. They were like no we got to get that going.
Right? And corporations are about money because that's probably absolutely right, man. It's crazy to think of how much, like per minute, how much money they would have been losing with that store being down. That's insane.
Well, I went
Anyway,
there the day and it was eerie, just like Soul Doja saying, you know, I had to go there to get some stuff. And I don't know, I guess I just went because it's the closest one to my house, even though I felt like, given the circumstances, probably shouldn't be there. Very weird to be at a situation where people, you know, just lost their lives in the night before and you're there. It's just kind of weird. Very
Yeah.
eerie.
Yeah, that they were saying like carts were full, like you could tell where people just like panicked and ran off and stuff, and I was just like, oh hell, nope, no, thank you.
that's so crazy. I can imagine. Gosh,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think that'll definitely be another show in itself. All the
So,
crazy shadow conspiracies, just here in itself.
all right,
Um,
Remo. So, what was the first choice song that you picked?
so the first one I picked was "The Speed of Pain," and again, like I had said earlier, you know, my first exposure to Manson was through Doja. So that's what turned me on to a lot of stuff. But Grimm, like how he talked about, we both kind of revitalized each other's Manson fandom a little bit. And this was a song that he actually, that I associate with more so with him because um, this song became to prominence for me in my life at a time when Grim and I we were pushing it pretty heavily. You know what I'm saying? Him and I were grinding in a few different spots and
Uh,
had some
What is
shit
that?
going. You know what I'm
What
saying? So
what's that code for?
we were just like in our young single days, so we were just kind of living pretty fast and pretty hard, really. You know what I'm saying? To put it lightly. So um, I
Were
think
there red heifers involved?
there was heifers of all colors and shapes and sizes. But
Yeah.
Those of you who don't know, and Remo can confirm this, that was usually around the time I was eating probably also about an ounce to an ounce and a half of mushrooms a week.
Yeah.
so you know, just that alone paints a ridiculously colorful picture. So I'm so sure. I'm
Uh,
sure I'm
Yeah,
sure you can imagine. So anyway,
that
uh,
I'm gonna I'm gonna I'm
also
gonna
with
totally
great
clip
pleasure,
that.
also, but to be honest with you, for me at least, along with great pleasure comes great pain, or comes from great pain. Um, I was at kind of a dark place in my life at the time, and I was not feeling like I wanted to be feeling, and this song resonated with me pretty tough. And like I said, Grim, I associated more so with him because it had resonated with him pretty tough. So like him feeling how he was feeling and vibing off of it just got me feeding right on into that. You know what I'm saying? And this song in particular just really did that for me. And I was never like a metal dude, never a rock dude. You know what I mean? Any of that kind of stuff. So Manson and Rob Zombie and shit like that are my first pieces of exposure that I willingly accepted into that type of a genre. You know what I'm saying? And kind of opened the doors for me. And this song has like this soul to it too. You could hear Homegirl in the background, like whoa, like she be getting down, bro. Like this song
Wait,
has some fucking soul and some funk to
how'd
it,
she
and just the
how did
way
she
how slow it is. Go ahead.
how'd she do it?
Whoa,
Oh damn.
hell yeah. So yeah, it's pretty dope. What do you all? I'm sure both y'all are familiar with that. Grim, you want to talk about your fandom of it?
I've actually never heard that song.
So
For real? Oh shit.
I know I told you, Remo, I picked, or you guys both picked a song I would have picked. And I'm glad that you said that about me and that song, because that was the song you picked that I was like, oh man, that's like one of my favorite Manson songs. And like he was saying, I really vibed with that song. That song really got me through a lot. You got to outrace the speed of pain for another day, because like to me, the way I related it is there's two ways. You're either going to keep moving and you're going to live and survive, and eventually over time, running from pain, you're going to find reason to live again. But if you just sit there and dwell in that pain and you sulk, then I mean, you're going to basically meet your end, because that's what pain does to a person who can't really deal with that emotional damage.
No doubt, no doubt. Very well put. Those are you gonna have to peep it out. What was your first song choice?
Mine?
Yeah.
Uh so it was really hard between Beautiful People and Sweet Dreams, because like those are both that like popped my cherry and took my virginity away. And then like, after those songs were like really did good penetration through the ears and the brain to realize when I look in the mirror that no matter what, I'm one of those beautiful people, and my sweet dreams are made of these. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, very eloquently put.
I love both them songs. I always did. Um,
Wasn't go ahead, Grim.
so on the Beautiful People, the he's all what's he say? Can't see the forest from the trees, and you can't smell your own shit on your knees. I love that.
Yeah.
Love the whole part about the steeple, all of it. It's just a very the message behind it. I do agree with in a lot of ways. It's kind of like that's why I brought up what I did at the beginning of the show about the whole when you judge things based off of people as opposed to what the belief system actually is, right? And that song really touches a lot on that capitalism, on and all of these things that try to shut out things from our lives. And people have judged those things in a negative way. And I mean, because what I'm saying is, I don't feel it's faith that has the problem. I feel it's people who participate in the faith who have a problem. I don't feel that capitalism or socialism are the problems. It's the people who participate in it that are the problems. Um, so, I mean, as far as that goes, his messages, they were always great messages. And I guess going to my first song, I'm going to go with Coma White first. because, as I said in the beginning, my favorite album was Mechanical Animals. Speed of the Pain was on there. Great Big White World, Coma White. All these songs I really resonated with. And Coma White, I resonate with it because it's like a drug song, right? How he got out there and he became famous, and they're feeding him full of these pills and all of these things that he thinks they're making him pretty. They're making this life, this beautiful life. And in the end, that's not what it is. You know what I
Yep,
mean?
I
That
feel you.
basically saying that with that popularity, with that success, there came this ugliness.
Damn, that's deep, my brother. Hella deep. Doja, you got anything on Common White? I don't really remember that one. I don't really know that one, so I can't really say too
That
much.
I bump that song a lot. You know, like I like it. Like the video too is pretty sick. The beat and everything. And like I yeah, it's one of my ones that's in my library. You know that I play. So that's a good one too. You know.
No doubt. All right. Well, my second one was Evidence. And this is another one for me too, where as soon as I hear it, bro, it kind of takes me right back to that time when I was kind of like going through it. And this one has like that slow build to it, and it just has this where it drops off, boom, boom, down, 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 down. You know what I'm saying? And fucking me being a lyricist and being all about the sound and all that kind of shit, like I actually wrote something to the beginning part of that. And I was trying to do like a whole little song spin-off on it because it just put me in this place, bro. It put me in this groove or this mood that just felt like I was getting somewhere, like it was pushing forward. You know what I'm saying? Like I was gaining momentum or something, and it felt good. So to be honest with you, as far as the song itself, even though it's my second pick, like I couldn't tell you like how Grimm breaks it down. You know what I mean? Like philosophically, like what the lyrics are saying or this or that or any of that kind of stuff. Because although the lyrics did resonate with me and connected with me on this song, it didn't really stay with me as much. It was more so just that vibe and that feeling that took me there. That's kind of more so the reason why I picked it. But it's still
So
one of my favorites.
that beginning of the song you're talking about, oh man, dude, because if you know me, you know I don't believe in synchronicities. Okay, there's no such thing as, or I believe in synchronicities. There's no such thing as a coincidence. Okay, synchronicities are when things are meant to happen for a certain reason for your spiritual growth and development. So when you bring up the beginning of that song, dude, it brings me back to Goat Hill, dude, when we were working at UPS and stuff, cashing our checks at the liquor box. And how funny, guess where I was yesterday off of 67th and Federal to get my hair cut. And I was like, I told my barber, what, you moved over here to Goat Hill? She's like, yeah. And I said, geez, my friends grew up over here and stuff. And I'm thinking about you and James and Mike, all of us, and it's just so freaking crazy. And I mean, God bless James.
That's so crazy you bring James up, bro. This dude's been on my mind for like the last 3 days. That's
Again,
crazy.
synchronicities, you know what I mean? And just you saying that brought me back to that moment and how funny I was there yesterday just getting my haircut.
Every time I go back, I go to my barber shop off of 72nd and like Pecos. I think you might know him, Remo John. John, he used to hang out with the Mikey and all the Goat Hill homies and shit. Big John, he's a barber, but I
Yeah,
can't think
maybe.
of his I can't think of his last name. But anyways, I always go over there to that hood. It's kind of funny to see how much it's changed and built up from when we used to mess around over there.
I know, man. Time don't stop for nobody.
But
Things just keep on rolling.
but on with what you guys said at that beginning, it's funny that you guys picked that song because I have a playlist on YouTube and a different one on my iTunes, and they're called Workout Mix, music that I listen to pump me up to work out. and evidence is on both of them because of that beginning. It just starting off slow, and it just gets me amped up. And then once that drum is like, doo, doo, and then boom, the whole beat just kicks in, and it's just like I'm ready to go. Like I'm, and I actually have I play the lyrics when I mountain climb to get my mind off of what I'm doing because it's hell and it hurts like hell and it's just painful. Exercising and getting healthy sucks, man. But anyways, the lyrics are a trip and they are very sexual and it's like they're talking about cutting each other and having sex and stuff and it's just like and at the time when I was messing around with the freak at the time too, so it was a very sexual song, for I got it onto that whole album. Hey, are you watching your back over there, Grim? I see people walking behind you.
Oh, it's just the kids. They're outside in their ATVs, and then I was actually looking in front of me because how funny the cops came and stopped him and made him come back.
Oh.
Damn.
But your second song, Joe. So on your first song, you mentioned "Sweet Dreams." Were you saying that was you were going back and forth between the two, or were you trying to say
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, because my second song and one of my all-time favorite songs is "The Man That You Fear," which is off the same album, "The Antichrist Superstar." Which, like I said, that was like "Sweet Dreams" was the one that like I heard him and I like introduced me to it, but "Antichrist Superstar" was the one that really turned me into him, and there was just so many songs on that album. But I just like that song because like for years, like like I just felt like it's not like people fear me, but like some of the stuff I say or know, or like even when I rap about, like I get flagged and like people don't like the truth. So it's like always like, whoa, whoa, watch it, Joe. He's crazy, like he's a little off the wall and stuff. So I always felt like people like feared me. And I'm just like, I don't know how I know this knowledge. I don't know how I come across this stuff. I don't know how this information just falls in my lap. I just, spread it out. And now it's funny to me. But even like to this day, I get pulled over here recently, and the cops are harassing me because of my tattoos on my arm, and they're yelling at me because I don't have nothing on my record, and I don't have a. They said you don't even have a speeding ticket. I never heard of an adult with a clean record before, and I go, that's because I'm not a criminal. But it's just like people fear what they don't know, and that's just how I felt with that song.
so my opinion on it, if I may, real quick, because I had mentioned that both of you guys picked a song that I resonate with highly, and they would have been songs I would have picked. So you pick a man that you fear. That's why I asked if what was your second song, because that's what I thought it was. So for me, I know Remo remembers. I had an ex once say that she felt as if I was the bad guy trying to be the good guy. You remember that, and you said I always wondered what she meant by that. And that song has always resonated with me because of that reason, because over time you end up becoming that man that person fears, right? And it's basically like a love song. I love it. It's so passionate. It's so, I don't know, just so full of emotion. I guess it just resonates with me that way. It's like this guy pouring his heart out, and he still ends up becoming the man that this person fears.
Yeah, and
I feel
then
that.
like the video was just like so sick too. Like the way he did the video.
Yeah, and I'm different. So, like, I'm a Scorpio. I'm into a lot of different things, very knowledgeable on things. So then people look at me differently, and I feel like just having that aura about me, it intimidates people, and it makes me, in a sense, the man that they fear.
Yep, I can
Yeah.
understand that.
And Remo, why do they fear you,
What do they fear me? No,
Mister Vicious?
doing the dishes. Yeah, we'll save that episode for a whole nother time too. Shit. Let's get
Get them.
into the next one here.
My second,
Actually, before we move on to your last one, Grim, Doja, I don't really remember this one. I don't know this one, so I'm gonna have to peep this one out and check it out because I don't remember it at all.
The video is sick, sick. Yeah, watch the video.
Hella
Don't
dope.
listen.
Don't lie to me,
It,
cry to me.
Oh, I do know this one. Okay, yeah, yeah.
I
I know
love. I
this one
love
a
that
lot.
song.
This was one of those ones that I was talking about earlier when I was like skimming through the shit and I was like, oh yeah, this one and oh yeah, that one. Yeah, when this one came on, I was like, oh shit, that's a good one too. Yeah, I like that one. That whole album was pretty dope. I think that's one of the ones that I resonated with the most.
yeah, there's also that song. I think I probably butchering how it said, but it's like tourniquet. But
Yep,
he's like take your hatred out of me. That's
I
like
love
another
that
one
song.
of my jams. Yeah, and that's like one of my workout songs too. I'm like when I'm punching the bag, get your hatred out of me.
That's dope. Grim, what was your last one?
Coma Black. And I ended up going with it because, as I was discussing with you guys before we started filming, is that, I really couldn't pick between the two. And I was trying to pick another song in one of the comas. And through listening to them both again, I was like, I just got to pick them both. They resonate with me so much at a time in my life where I didn't want to be around no more. And in this song, he's basically, this song to me, it's like a person that is at their worst but still making it, still picking themselves up off the ground and doing it. I guess that's what it resonates with me on. I know that's not the exact lyrics in the song, but just it reminds me of pushing through even when you don't want to. Kind of like, and I feel like all his songs are like that, and that's why I guess I've resonated with them.
Yeah, that's deep. See, that's why I'm glad you were able to take point on this one because I'm not as well versed with Manson. Like I said, you guys are both very influential to my fandom of Manson. So I'm glad you were able to share so much of your upbringing with it and your feelings on the music, both you guys.
Yeah, I mean, it was a big deal for me. A big deal. I always resonated with him because I felt like I was that guy too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That how he says that you were picked on in school and things like that. It made me a very hateful person, a very angry person. And so I resonated with all them angry, hateful songs. I also resonated with the songs of wanting to pour your heart out, wanting to do something else, but then still being rejected and denied and feared.
I even like even that the one album he did, the I think it's Beware the Pale Horse or something, the one of his latest ones.
Mm-hmm.
Uh he did a song on there called like Third Date Binge, and that song is like the beat and everything is like so fresh, but it's like it's funny because we all been on our benders before, but he's talking about a 7 day binge that he's on, but he's on the third day of it, and it's like reminds me of like the drug nights, or you're at your peak and you're coming down and and it's just like I'm like, man, he's still still making songs that I like and relate to and stuff, and still upbeat. It's like, yeah, he's still doing pretty good stuff. But I didn't really like him in the Sons of Anarchy.
Nah, me either.
Man,
But he
that was
begged to be in that. He begged for any role, and that was what they gave him. I think he did it well. It's just for me, I didn't like the show. I'm sorry for those of you out there that did. I am not a fan of Sons of Anarchy. I felt it was too racist, too repetitive. That,
Did you watch the Mayans?
and everyone kept trying to tell me to, but because of that, like, I'm more of a power guy. For those of you who haven't seen it,
Aw, man.
thing that Sons did, but 10 times better, hundreds of times better.
You know what? We're coming up on an hour and 24 minutes, so we don't have enough time to get into it. But guys, I love Sons and fucking Power. That's my shit. So fuck, I
uh,
can't wait to get into this. But I didn't get that far with Sons. I didn't know Manson was in it. So don't fuck it up for me. That's crazy. That's cool.
oh, fuck. Oh, dude, I was just about to
Last
go
two
off
seasons,
yeah, it's the last season, huh?
the last two.
Yeah, he's a trick. He plays a fucking. Yeah, and it was kind of funny because I didn't know that was really him at first, and then I was like, oh, what the fuck? I was
Yeah,
like, I
'cause
didn't even know this
you
guy's
don't know
acting.
nothing, Remo. You'll be shocked to see how he looks. But again, when I say how funny they made him the leader of white supremacists. I say that it was a racist show. I mean, just touching on that, for the reason why I'm calling the show a racist show. I mean, had a lot to do with a lot of white supremacists, a lot of hate of colors and things like that. That was definitely a big factor in that show. For those of you who have never watched it.
Hey, that's
Yep.
probably why they had to do the spinoff for the Mayans to cover their racist ass.
Yeah.
Had to make right by Hollywood, right?
But I watched the Mayans too. I like to me they're like B level actors, I guess you say. They're all right, but I liked the behind the scenes footage because of the main character. He goes by Easy, but they
Yeah.
were saying like he would always like he was all into fitness and getting them all pumped up, for the movie because they want to be buffer than the Sons of Anarchy, the buff Mexicans, and they were the Mayans and shit, and it was all right, but the way it ended, I was just like, dude, I was just so mad about how the Mayans ended, and I was just like, really, what the? And I was like, they straight took a part of a famous play and a story, and they just redid it to the ending of that, and I go, can't you guys think of anything to write? Like, like why you gotta copy something that's already been done 1,000 times? Like,
Must have
but
happened during one of the writers' strikes or something. But
yeah.
we're actually coming up on our last couple minutes here. Any last words on Manson before we end it, y'all?
Yeah. For the viewer out there, I'd like to just say, leave it in the comments. Do you guys think Manson is guilty or innocent for the crimes he's being accused of? I guess since this is a topic right now and with cancel culture, I'd just like to know what your thoughts are with everything that we've stated right now with witnesses recanting their accounts. Leave your comments down in the comment section below.
And stay beautiful, people. The beautiful people. The beautiful people.
Hey, wasn't that a wrestling intro too? I meant to ask you that, Grim. Wasn't it on Raw or SmackDown? Wasn't that the song for one of the wrestling intros?
No, but he did the fight song for one of the freaking pay-per-views. Fight, fight, fight. That song off of freaking
Oh,
Hollywood.
the beautiful people.
It was for
The
Triple
beautiful.
H and The Rock's feud.
I think the beautiful people was fucking SmackDown for a little while. I'm gonna have to look it up. Anyway, also, all of you listeners, you need to be followers. Be liking and subscribing and sharing and all that shit, man. Hook us up. Get us some numbers, man. Boost our shit up. Appreciate y'all for peeping us out. Everybody, this is a wrap on Marilyn Manson. We'll be back next week with our video or our movie of the month. And thank you for listening to or checking out the Dro Bro Show.
Bye, guys.
Out.
Dro
Later.
Bros out. This has been episode 8.
Peace out, beautiful people.